Hi, this is Louisa at Louisa Harris Pilates with just a couple of exercises that might be useful for you if your neck and shoulders are suffering with the increased amount of time we're all spending online at the moment. So you could do them seated or standing, just wherever you're comfortable. So you can be sat on a chair or sat on the floor or whatever. Just make sure that you're trying to position yourself into best possible posture, that we're not slumped or collapsed down in a heap. Okay, so I'm going to just be seated on the floor. It could be legs crossed, long frog, wherever you can just sort of ground your sit bones to the floor, to the surface, to the chair. Okay, so we just try to let the shoulders open and create some space between the ears and the shoulders so we're not all hunched up. Okay, and then make sure we're not poking the head and the chin forward. So if you need to draw that back to lengthen the back of the neck, it would be worth doing that. Just let the arms drape down by your side. So let's do some squeezes of the shoulder, which will help release the tension that really builds up along here, especially if we're on our devices a lot of the time. So I'm going to grab hold, opposite hand in between the neck and the shoulder. This free arm is just dangling down, so let it feel really heavy. I'm going to inhale, squeeze that shoulder and shrug up. Exhale, release the squeeze and let the shoulder drop down. So inhale, squeeze and shrug. Exhale, release and soften down. So as you do that squeeze, maybe imagine you're squeezing all the water out of a sponge, and when you release it, that's filling back up. Try to keep your neck and head centered so we're not sort of tilting away from it as you go. I'm going to just do around 5. You could start with that and then perhaps maybe add a few more if you needed to. And then once you've done that, just release, and before you switch straight onto the other side, just try and lengthen that neck and just let your head turn once to each side, and just notice if it feels different, having done that tiny, like less than a minute's worth of release on the other side. And then we'll switch over, so opposite hand in between neck and the shoulder, and I'm grabbing hold of it. Let that free arm just sort of shake out, feel really heavy, and then inhale, squeeze and shrug, and then exhale, release and soften down. So inhale, squeeze and shrug, exhale, release and soften down. So as on the other side, you could imagine you're squeezing out a sponge, and then it fills back up with water when you release. So just around 5 or so, maybe a few more if you want to, or one side might be tighter than the other. And then once you're done, just release, let the arms just dangle again. Try and just keep that length through the spine and the neck, and just notice the shoulders level. Are we holding one up higher or lower than the other? Just try to equalize it as best you can. And let's just compare now, just letting the head turn once to each side. And just notice if we've made any little change by just spending a few moments giving ourselves some attention. You might want to circle and shrug the shoulders a few times, either keeping the arms long, or you could bring just fingertips to the shoulders and circle in this way. And then we're going to go into corkscrew shoulders, which is a really lovely one for opening up the chest and sort of resetting the position of our shoulders as well. So for that, we're going to bring the arms up and the hands come behind your head. So I've interlaced my fingers and I've got the thumbs at the base of my hairline. I'm lightly pressing head into hands, hands into head, so just being careful not to poke the head forward. Elbows are in my peripheral vision, so they're not opened all the way back, and shoulders are soft. So all the while I'm trying to still lengthen up my spine as much as I can and try to resist that temptation for gravity to pull me down. So we're just going to inhale, you shrug up the shoulders so they come up to your ears, try and keep the length through the neck, and then exhale, just let the shoulders glide and soften down your back. Try to keep that release there. As you inhale, it's going to open the elbows a tiny bit, and then exhale, return. So you could shrug up, release, open back, and return. So inhale, shrug, exhale, release, keeping that length through the neck. Inhale, open just a little bit without poking the head or the chest forward, and exhale, return. So keep that light pressure between the hands and the head, and all the while that sense of length, and hopefully you'll begin to feel the shoulder blades gliding on the back of the rib cage rather than perhaps being glued up towards your ears. So you could do at least 5, maybe up to 10 of these, depending on how your shoulders are feeling. And then once you've finished, elbows just return back to that start position. Hopefully we've not returned with the shoulders hooked up to our ears, so just let them soften and melt down, and the arms can just float up and then trickle down by your side. So hopefully that's freed them up a little bit. If your neck is feeling tight, again from lots of time online, a wonderful stretch is you could either do opposite hand to opposite shoulder, keeping the shoulders level, it's like that free arm dangle, lengthen and chin tuck and just tilt your head to the side. So I've just tilted away from my hand. That might be enough of a stretch, or you might want to just turn the neck and the head a little bit so your gaze drops down. For me, it's dropping towards the opposite knee, towards the floor. I just take a few breaths there to let that lengthen and release. And then when you're ready, just unravel to face forward and then stack back up. So you could do the same on the other side, or I'm just going to show you an alternative variation in a moment as well. So it's opposite hand to opposite shoulder. That free arm's just heavy, lengthen, chin tuck, tilt, and then you could add maybe that rotation where your gaze drops down towards opposite knee or towards the floor. Try and keep the shoulders level and just a few breaths into there. So that's one option. You return to face forward before you stack up. Another variation of the same stretch is that you would tilt your head to the side and then you just bring the hand around the side of your head. So you use that hand and the arm to ease you over to the side. Again, that might be enough of a stretch, or you might want to just add that turn where possibly your gaze and your nose is heading towards your armpit. And you can take a few breaths into there. And then unravel to stack up, and then come try the other side. So you don't necessarily have to do both versions. You might just find you prefer one or the other. So you lengthen, just like chin tuck, tilting over, easing over with the hand and the arm. Maybe that's enough of a stretch, or maybe you want to add just that little bit of rotation. So your gaze drops, you probably can see your arm and your nose might be getting closer towards your armpit. Okay, a few breaths into there. And then unravel to face forward, and then you can stack up, shrug or circle the shoulders, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of ease and release for the rest of your day. Thanks very much.